a physiologist at Cornell University, and he did what's called the 7-continent study. He did a bunch of studies about essentially the cultures that live the longest, lowest cholesterol, and are the healthiest. It was a very, very flawed study. He did some studies on Indian mill workers and stuff. And what he came back with, and this is in the 50s, because heart disease was an epidemic, Ancel Keys had a very, very influential, strong voice, and he was a very sharp personality. He came back and said, I've done my studies. Animal fat is what kills people. Eat a low-fat diet. Because high-fat diets are what is clogging your arteries. So it takes a little while for science to get into the mainstream, but that idea, Ancel Keys, but according to many people who study the history of nutrition and the study of obesity and this obesity epidemic that began really in the 60s and really started to blossom in the 70s and the 80s, was because one man came along and said, I did all these studies and I have found the key to health. Let's copy the people that don't have high cholesterol, that don't have heart disease. Let's eat the way they do. And how do they eat? Low fat, high fiber diet. Turns out he was completely wrong. Yeah. Now,
who's this?
So all of a sudden, all the food companies said, let's take the fat out of our products so we can say they're low fat. Problem is when you take fat out of a product, out of a food, it tastes like cardboard. So how do you make
sugar?
You put sugar in it.
Sugar.
High fructose corn syrup, because the corn lobby gets involved and says, hey, man, stop importing sugar from the Caribbean and Africa and all these other countries. Use corn. Let's grow corn right here. So Archer Daniels Midland, these huge
Nebraska
companies essentially said, use our corn syrup. That's where corn syrup comes in. That's why corn is used so often. Either way, what we had is a lot of people eating a lot of fiber, and really a lot of carbohydrates, and they with a lot of sugar added to it, and no fat. Of course. And you still hear people saying, man, those egg yolks are causing high cholesterol. I got that hamburger is what's going to kill me. No, it's the bun that's way worse for you, in fact, and puts weight on you. Mm-hmm. It is the simple carbohydrates. So we've had to kind of reverse one man's work, and it's taken 40 fucking years because he was very influential. He was a physiologist because he had a very strong voice. He was very charismatic, and he was very energetic about spreading his message.
But why would we go balls deep and put all our eggs into this guy's basket? What about moderation?
So you
can have buns. You can have certain stuff. You can have sugar. Don't go fucking... That's the problem, is people go crazy.
That's exactly right. If you want to know, there's a book by Gary Taub called Good Calories, Bad Calories, and another book called Why We Get Fat by the same author that traces that genealogy and that lineage. A very interesting book. Another amazing lecture to listen to on why sugar is bad for you by an endocrinologist, and his name is Robert Lustig. Robert Lustig. He has a YouTube speech about it. Fascinating.
And if you don't know why sugar's bad for you, just go ahead and open your car door and slam your head in it.